Time now for a Monday roundtable.
Well, today we're joined by criminal defense attorney Michelle Suskauer and the former general counsel to the Democratic Party of Virginia, Stephen Cobb. Thank you both for joining us.
Sure, thanks.
All right, let's talk a little bit about
having us.
It's great to have you both with us. Let's talk a little bit about this gay marriage issue before the Supreme Court. Chief Justice John Roberts now finds himself in a critical position. This will be a pivotal case. Will we talk about the Roberts Court perhaps in the same way that law schools talk about the Warren Court and the Burger Court for having a pretty dramatic impact on civil issues in this country? Go ahead, Michelle.
Well, I think it's going to be interesting to... Ladies first.
Thank you. I think so. I mean, we've had so many major cases that goes through, and I think that, especially tomorrow, I think we're going to be very, very interested to see how Chief Justice Roberts acts, what questions he asks. Everyone's going to be looking at Kennedy. So I think absolutely the way that law schools are going to be looking at this Supreme Court and this Roberts Court is significant.
Go ahead, Stephen. What's your take?
I agree. I think David Boies and Ted Olson were hitting on these issues on some of the shows yesterday when they were kind of comparing the two, and I think they both express a hopefulness that the court would come down in some of the unanimous, if not supermajority, decisions that the Warren Court did. Now that Windsor's been decided, I think their hope, and I think the hope of many, is that this court will come down, but more than 5-4 will come in maybe with 6 or 7 of those votes to really send that message, and therefore would kind of put it in the same spectrum as some of those Warren Court decisions.
Well, Michelle, let me ask you this. What would be your argument against, say, a Marco Rubio who is saying that this is a states' rights issue? It should be up to state legislators to determine what the marriage laws are for their own states.
I mean, that is the argument, but I think that the Supreme Court certainly is aware of the way that this country is moving, and you can see it in the last 10, 20 years in terms of the way that it's moving, especially in terms of marriage equality. So, despite Marco Rubio and his view about states' rights, I have a feeling that we are, and I agree with the other speaker, that we are going to see probably more than a 5-4 majority here, overturning the Sixth Circuit.
Stephen, how big of an issue do you think gay marriage is going to be come the 2016 election?
I think, interestingly, it's probably going to play a larger issue in the Republican primaries. This seems to be, as Michelle was touching on, you see huge majorities across the country in support of gay marriage, and I think that's going to be a real problem for Republicans. And I think that you'll see some folks like Rick Santorum or Mike Huckabee really trying to carve out their angle on the Christian right in order to try and get those voters in the early primaries. And so it'll be interesting to see how it plays out, particularly in the selection of the Republican nominee.
Michelle and Stephen, they say all good jokes are part truth. Check out what the president had to say on Saturday, switching subjects now, at the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I have something that rhymes with bucket list. Take executive action on immigration? Bucket. New climate regulations? Bucket.
Michelle, your reaction, did you see it?
See it. He definitely has a great sense of humor, doesn't he?
Not everybody was laughing, I'm sure. I mean,
No, they're not, but sometimes humor is the best medicine, but it is harsh, and it goes exactly to, it does send a message, doesn't it?
Well, Stephen, I mean, for someone who's never been to this event and maybe will never ever get to go based on what I'm about to say, it seems so strange looking as an outsider at this type of event, and do we really need this, or is this just another opportunity for Washington to rub elbows with Hollywood and pat themselves on the back while we got so many really important issues to talk about?
That's a good point. Truthfully, I've never attended either, but sometimes humor is good and necessary, and other times we need to bear down and focus on the serious issues affecting our country. Sometimes these events are a breath of fresh air and allow us to laugh at some of the critiques that we have, be they from the left or the right, and then come out of it with a fresh perspective and really get back to the business of governing.
It's almost like
you know,
these White House press conferences that are televised now, and that the correspondents realize they're on TV, and almost as if they perform sometimes for the camera. The event may have had a useful purpose back in the day, but it does seem to have kind of become a caricature of itself based on the fact that it gets so much media attention from its own inner circle now.
All right, but let me ask Michelle, what was your favorite part or worst part?
I like the anger management, the anger interpreter
Okay.
that the president had behind him. I thought that was pretty hysterical. I really did. And I think the whole point of these is that everyone is poking fun at each other, but most importantly, poking fun at themselves. And it's a night to sort of let your hair down and have fun at some of the serious issues that have gone on during the year.
Maybe right for a reboot, perhaps, but we also have some other stuff we want to talk about besides the jokes there, and that is whether or not we're going to see another dynastic presidential battle once the primaries are over. A lot of folks would say there might not be the appetite there among the electorate for this type of thing, but let's take a look at a new Politico article and a CNN poll real quickly. That CNN poll shows that almost 60% of voters do prefer a candidate with some experience over someone who agrees with them on a major issue. That might be a tip of the hat to both Hillary Clinton and Jeb Bush. Controversies aside, what do you think, Michelle? Do you think that the experience issue is really going to matter, considering we have some serious foreign policy issues to deal with here, as well as real economic issues that aren't getting a lot of play?
You know, I just keep thinking that it is going to be a Clinton versus Bush again. And I do think that people are comfortable, and it is, when there are a lot of unknowns, people somehow shy away from that. I think it's comfortable. It seems unbelievable that there would be another Clinton Bush, but to me, if I had to put some money on it, I would say it would go that way.
What about you, Stephen? Are you a betting man?
Well, I think Secretary Clinton is looking particularly strong in these upcoming Democratic primaries. The gap between her and the closest candidate, I want to say, is something like 40, 50 points.
But Stephen, there are a lot of folks who are saying
that's not nearly as big as an issue as Jeb's kind of uphill climb in the Republican primary. So it's to a certain extent apples and oranges.
A couple of things real quick, Stephen.
I think that Secretary Clinton's really going to be able to leverage her experience in a way to be a very formidable candidate against whoever the Republicans may put forward in 2016.
We did read some stuff over the weekend. Jeb Bush setting fundraising records, even though he's not officially in the race yet. And of course, there is a cloud over Hillary Clinton's campaign right now. But Stephen, let me ask you, a lot of folks are saying that Democrats have gone all in on Hillary Clinton, and that may have been a mistake. What's your take on that line?
I'm not sure I agree with either the premise or the conclusion. I think there are folks who are supporting some of the other primary candidates like Governor O'Malley or some of the other folks whose names have been bandied about. I'm supporting Secretary Clinton, as many are, and I don't think that is a misstep in any way. I think she's a formidable candidate, hopefully will be our candidate in 2016 and the next president of the United States.
All right, fair enough. Thank you both for being with us. I want to give you a quick plug real quick before you go. Michelle Suskauer, criminal lawyer from the law firm, Suskauer Law Firm, also on one of the 2013 Women in Power, the National Conference of Jewish Women. Michelle, it's great to see you again. And Stephen Cobb, former general counsel for the Democratic Party
I think you made her blush a little bit. Yeah.
And an attorney with Miles and Stockbridge. Great to have both of them with us and get a Democratic take on some stories. We often have the conservative take. We try to get everything.
We try to be independent.
All right, you've heard of
America.
Pay It Forward, but one student shocked an entire community with his generosity. We'll talk about that coming up in our personal impact segment. And later we'll have our health radar exploring why young smokers may have even a harder time getting their...
I don't believe in wasting money, so I chose Consumer Cellular. My plan lets me decide how much I need, and my bills are about half what they used to be. I call it the Jack Plan. I like being in control. Whoops.
Speaking of control, I don't like putting my name on a contract. It's my choice to stick with Consumer Cellular, because I love them. That's the Connie plan.